are some of the nicest people I know. But unfortunately, the number one pathway for all pathogens, insect problems in the United States is from live plants from nurseries. So I can't stress that enough. If you're wondering, we're not picking on you. We just really need to get on top and close this pathway. All right, so one of the slides, this is a slide from my last talk. I'm not going to tell you about all the problems we have. There are many. I'm going to talk a little bit about ones where people have been particularly engaged in the problem, starting with sudden oak death. Really, in the UK, 10 million trees killed. This is a shot from Oregon, and you can see the neighborhood that this pathogen is encroaching on. This looks very similar to pictures of Marin County in about 2000. And then another just shot, and there are houses in this one too if you're... but really, this came in on camellias, rhododendrons that were grown in nursery. It's frustrating, to say the least, to see we can't control these problems. We can only prevent them. All right, now we're going to swing around the world and go to New Zealand. And Kari dieback, Phytophthora agathidicida. And very similar problem to sudden oak death in that these trees, the Kari, are particularly important to the Maori, the native New Zealanders, and in their creation story. And really, they are massive, gigantic, beautiful trees. Difficult, actually, to capture in photographs because they're so large. Frustrating problem. Okay, now Australia. Again, a Mediterranean-type climate, similar to what we have. And really, probably the grandmother of Phytophthora problems, Jara dieback. And they do have an interesting tradition in Australia where the school kids, thousands of them, do skits in the elementary schools about Phytophthora dieback. And just some pictures, the Dr. Seuss-like dead, it's a grass tree. Yes, some people recognize it. And that's not my phrasing, the biological bulldozer. That's from the dieback working group. They have a working group. It's larger than ours, but it's similar to this Phytophthora working group in Australia. Okay, South Africa. I chose this problem partly because it's a plants problem, not a trees problem, another Mediterranean climate. And these are problems mostly on Proteaceae, beautiful, beautiful plants. And doing a very big citizen science effort. It's actually something to watch. I'll see their techniques for citizen science. Okay, and the last one on this kind of global review is Phytophthora lateralis. I couldn't leave out Port Orford cedar root disease, which is a major problem in the forests of northwestern California and Oregon. And again, came in on nursery plants from Washington, moved through Oregon, and hit the forest. Okay, so now I'm going to switch from kind of giving you a sense of some of the types of problems and the people involved to science, although this slide still has pictures of some of the ongoing problems. Phytophthora ostracedri on juniper in Scotland, it's just heartbreaking, can't say. Phytophthora nicotiana on wattle tree in Brazil. One I'm worried about in Southern California might come here because of the warmer climate. Problems on beach. Okay, so I did a little Google Scholar search and I looked for how many papers have been published 2015 to now, and just 13,200. But that's not a really good number to hang your hat on, but it gives you an idea that there really is a lot of activity and a lot of interest, a lot of work. That number isn't just on forest trees, it's agricultural, horticultural phytophthora. So what are, to me, some of the highlights? I only have 5 more minutes, so I can only give you the cream of the crop. But if there was one paper that I could call your attention to, it would be this review paper. The lead author is Thomas Young. He is now in Czechoslovakia. But the European Phytophthora scientists did a review paper. They looked at data from 625 nurseries over 2,000 forest sites. And it's a difficult paper to summarize, but they found multiple new species, over 65 Phytophthora species there. And their bottom line is, we have biosecurity measures in place that are supposed to be preventing these problems. Why are they so common? And it is very similar to what we're trying to wrestle with here. Okay, another interesting and troublesome problem now in New Zealand is Phytophthora pluvialis. So it turns out, so this is a problem really that we didn't really know much about. This is a first report from 2015. They actually think, so this is also over the last 10 years, we've been more concerned about Phytophthora diseases on conifer needles. We never really thought that conifer needles could host Phytophthora, but they can. So you can see the picture from Oregon. They started seeing dieback there, but it was really the people in New Zealand, the lower picture. They grow Monterey pine, what we call Monterey pine, radiata pine, as a commercial crop, and they started seeing a lot of needle cast. And it did come, they think, from Oregon, the pathogen. And they are doing treatments and all kinds of things in New Zealand to try to protect their trees. Okay, another big development is the first find of the EU1 strain or lineage of Phytophthora moorim in a forest killing trees in Oregon. Okay, right there is a nursery, and right there is the find. And that nursery had the EU1 lineage detected in it. It did not close because of the detection. It closed for other reasons. And the other spot there is the other strain of the pathogen, the one that's even closer to the nursery. So Oregon, there's actually a lot of political activity related to this. The state senator from Oregon has gotten involved, congressmen. They're trying to get money, and they are trying to put together an effort to eradicate this because they are concerned that new strains, they could mate, and it's a very aggressive strain, more aggressive, even more aggressive than the one we already have in the United States. Okay, another problem, another review paper came out. This is also from a Mediterranean region. It talks about Spain and Italy, maybe some, and Portugal, cork oaks, which are the oaks that produce cork. It's pretty interesting to see how they peel the bark and everything. They are having ongoing problems with Phytophthora cinnamomi and other factors as well. And very nice review paper putting the story together. And this is my last example. Bruno Scanu. This is in Italy, in Sardinia. And I chose this problem because it is also, they started out with a dieback of oak trees. They're called evergreen oaks, holly oaks, or holm oaks, common names. And then they started looking further at the woody plants and shrubs, more of the types of plants we're seeing. This is in Mediterranean climates again. And they're starting to see a lot of Phytophthora problems scattered throughout. And new species, which Tyler is going to talk about some. Okay. So really, it is impossible to give you guys an idea of all the Phytophthora problems on woody plants throughout the world in 10 minutes. But I do want to, I can't stress enough, that the Phytophthoras are particularly damaging in the Mediterranean climates, We have tried various ways of controlling these pathogens. Once they get out into the forest, we can't stop them. We really need to prevent their introduction. So the conclusion is the same as 2 years ago, unfortunately. And really, we've come a long way, and I am encouraged, and I really appreciate it is through this cooperation that's represented in this room that we are making headway. So I thank you very much. Okay.